So today we are going to be making one of these little mistletoe Christmas decorations. They're super quick, super easy, and you don't need much yarn for them either. So they're a really great little gift, or if you're just looking for something quick to use up some scraps. It's a really great little option. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so to make our mistletoe, we are going to be using two colours of yarn. So I'm using a paint box cotton DK today, but you can use whatever you have handy. I'm also going to be using a ribbon for the hanging bit, but you can just use more of the yarn if that's what you've got handy. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and I'm using a 3mm crochet hook, but you can adapt that based on whatever size yarn you are using. So we're going to start by taking our green yarn. We're going to begin with our leaves today, so we can pull some out. And I'm just going to begin by making a slip knot. Leaving a decent sized tail there. So I'm going to take my hook, pop it into the loop, tighten it up. And I'm just going to begin by chaining 19. Okay, so to do that, what we do is we hold our hook and our yarn parallel, and then we catch the yarn with our hook and we pull it through the loop on the hook. So that's one chain. I'll show you again. Catch the yarn, pull it through, and that's 2, 3. And we're going to do that till we've got 19 in total. Okay, so that's our 19 chains. So what we're going to do now is begin by single crocheting back along the way we came. So we're going to ignore this very first chain here. We're not going to be working into that. We're going to work into the second one along, pop our hook into the chain, then we catch the yarn, pull it through the chain, not the loop on the hook, just the chain. That makes 2 loops on our hook, and then we catch the yarn and pull through both loops on the hook at the same time. And we're going to have 4 single crochets here in total. So now we're working into the next chain for our second one. And we single crochet. And then again, 2 more times. So we're going into that next chain. And 1 more single crochet in the next chain. And then we have 4 single crochets. Okay, now we're going to double crochet 5. Now this is using US terminology, so this is a US double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, and then we pop our hook into that next chain, catch the yarn, pull it through the chain. That leaves us with 3 loops on our hook. We then yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, and then we yarn over again and pull through the second 2 loops. And that's our US double crochet. So I'm going to repeat that 4 more times so that I've got 5 total of the double crochets. Okay, so that's our 5 double crochets, and we're now going to do 5 triple crochets again. That's a US triple crochet. So to do that, we yarn over again, and then we pop our hook into that next chain, catch the yarn, pull it through the chain. That leaves us with 4 loops on our hook. We yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the second 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the third 2 loops, and we're going to repeat that 4 more times till we've got 5 triple crochets in total. Okay, so that's our 5 triple crochets. We're now going to double crochet 2 in the next 2 chains. So 1, 2. And then double crochet 1 in the next chain. And then to finish off this leaf, we are going to do 2 single crochets in our last 2 chains. So 1 single crochet in this chain, 1 single crochet in this chain. Okay, so that is our first leaf completed. We'll be doing 3 leaves in total, and they're all slightly different. So for this next one, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 17, so not doing anything to tie off or anything. We're working all in kind of one big project. So chain 17. 1. Okay, so that's our 17 chains. We are now going to single crochet 4, exactly the same way we did the first leaf, so ignoring this first chain from the hook, and we're going to be working into the second one long. Okay, so that's 4 single crochets. We are now going to do 4 double crochets in the next 4 chain stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the next stitch. Okay, and then we're going to do 4 triple crochets. And then we do 2 double crochets. And then we do 2 single crochets in our final chains. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to slip stitch into the top of our first leaf, and this is just going to kind of keep everything together in sort of a position without it twisting. So we're going to pop our hook into that first sort of chain space of the first leaf, and then we just slip stitch by pulling the first loop through the second, and that is our second leaf. So our third leaf is the same sort of process again, but it's ever so slightly smaller. So we're going to start this one by chaining 15. Okay, and then exactly the same process as before. We begin our single crochets by skipping this first chain and working into the second. And we're going to do 4 single crochets. Okay, so that's 4 single crochets, 1 in each chain, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets. And then we're going to do 3 triple crochets. then we're going to do 2 double crochets. And then finish off our leaf with 2 single crochets in the last 2 chains. So 1, and moving on to the next chain, our last single crochet. Okay, so now we need to do a slip stitch, and we're going to slip stitch back into the same hole that we slip stitched with our first leaf. So you want to try and pop your hook into that same hole and do a little slip stitch. And there we have our leaves. Okay, and so to finish off, we are just going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to single crochet 2. So skipping this very first little one here, working into the second 2 chains, do single crochet, and into the next hole, single crochet. And then we slip stitch one more time into the top of our leaf, just to keep everything in place. And there we have it. So now we can tie this off. Cut our tail. Pull the tail through the loop. Just make a knot. And there we have our leaves. So now what we can do is we can cut off our green yarn. So what I like to do is just flip it over so you've got the back here. And then I just take my 2 tails and I just tie them together a couple of times. So 1, 2, and then I just snip them like so. And then make sure that's in the back. And there we have our leaves completed. So what we're going to do to make our berries is make a kind of popcorn stitch. Now this is slightly smaller than a standard popcorn stitch. I've actually reduced the amount of stitches that combine to make it, just so it's a little bit smaller and it sits a little bit nicer, I think, on the leaves. But if you know how to make a popcorn stitch, it's exactly the same theory. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our white yarn, pull it out, and we're going to make a magic circle. Now if you don't know how to do that, I've got a video tutorial which I will leave a link for up here somewhere. So that's our magic circle. And to start, what we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, and then we yarn over, and we're going to be working into our magic circle, catch the yarn, pull it through to make 3 loops on the hook, then we yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, leaving us with 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, put our hook into the magic circle, catch the yarn, pull it through, then we yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 3 loops on the hook. We yarn over, back into the magic circle, catch the yarn, pull it through, and then we yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, leaving us with 4 loops, and then one more time we yarn over, pop our hook into the magic circle, catch the yarn, pull it through, and then we yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, leaving us with 5 loops, and then we yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook at the same time. So the benefit of doing a popcorn stitch rather than just making a little circle or a little ball here is that it kind of naturally concaves, so you've got like the back bit which dips in and the front bit pushes out, so it works quite nicely for this. So we're going to tighten up our magic circle by pulling on the tail, and then we can tie off our popcorn stitch. Like so. And that creates our little berry. So what you're going to want to do is make another one of these, so repeat this step all over again, and I will meet you back here once you've got 2 berries so that we can stitch it on to our leaves. So here are my 2 berries, and what I'm going to do now is stitch them onto the leaves. So to do that, we can take our first bit, and you'll need your darning needle here. So what I do is I just take one of my berries and I take one of the tails and I thread it onto my needle and I just push it through the top of one of the leaves, like so. And then I can take that out of my needle, pop the second tail onto my needle and push that through again through the leaf, like so. So it sits quite nicely like that. I can then take my needle away, take my 2 tails and essentially just tie them together. The benefit of doing this versus stitching is it's just a bit quicker, but obviously do what you prefer. There we go. Snip those tails off, and then once you turn it over you can't see a thing. So we're just going to repeat that all over again with the second berry. Okay, and there we have it. And there is our mistletoe. So now what you can do if you want to turn it into a little ornament is bring in your ribbon or maybe your yarn, scrap piece of yarn that you're using, and just cut off a decent length. Okay, and here I like to take my darning needle again, thread the ribbon on, and we're just going to poke it through our little stalk at the top. So, okay, and then we can just tie a knot in the top of our ribbon. And there we have our little mistletoe Christmas ornament.